Howdy folks, welcome to the Southampton Hall of Aviation, the Solent Sky Aviation Museum, with the mighty Jingles. I have no idea what this thing's called, but it's ridiculous. Look. But if you think that thing was a death trap, wait until you get a load of this. It's actually bicycle powered. In fact, if we come over from this side, you can actually see the, look at that. That looks like a penny farthing bicycle with a really long chain. And the propeller is actually, it's sort of shark fin mounted at the back at the top. Don't know if you can see it. There it is. Who would put their lives at the risk of that thing? Right, check this out. This is actually called a link trainer. I don't know if you can see it over there. It's a very, very early flight training simulator. It was actually controlled over here. And have a look down underneath. It was actually powered by a bellows. there's a bloke giving it this to get the air pressure in it to how things have changed. What we've got here is a Saunders Roe. It's a jet flying boat. Get a load of this thing. It is absolutely huge. Massive old air intake. This is one of the engines for it. It had two of them. It's a Metropolitan Vickers Barrel. And back here you can see the engine reserve. Look at the size of this thing. Absolutely massive twin engine jet flying boat. I've never even heard of these things. Over here we've got a de Haviland Vampire. This one apparently is French, so if anybody watching the video can identify those squadron markings and tell us where this one served, because I have no idea, but all of the markings on it are all in French. Twin-seater, you'll notice that the seats are side by side. It's got the old boom tailplane at the back, a lot like the P-38 Lightning. And de Haviland, this was I think it was their first jet fighter, but obviously de Haviland were the company that made my favourite, well, one of my favourite aircraft, the Mosquito fighter bomber. Another de Haviland aircraft, the Sea Vixen. Now I believe that we're getting the Sea Vixen and the Vampire in British tech tree in Wartham. But these were obviously Royal Navy, Fleet Air Arm aircraft. Isn't she a beauty? But one thing that when we saw this, we thought, oh no, that's weird. It says it was a twin-seater, but have a look at the cockpit. There's only one seat up there. It's because the other seat is around the side. Get a load of this. That's where the observer sat. Have you ever seen anything as weird as that? What an aircraft. Obviously folding wings for flight deck ops on a carrier. The de Haviland Sea Vixen. This is a short Sandringham. It was actually converted from a short Sunderland, which was used as a flying boat, a lot like the Catalina in War Thunder, except by the Royal Air Force in the Second World War. This was sold to Tasman Airlines in Australia and was used for island hopping. It's now back here in Southampton. It is so big, they actually built the museum around it. And you'll get an idea of how big this thing is when Eddie starts panning the camera around. Get a load of this. This thing is massive. Every time I look up, I see one of those engines, and I just think, oh look, it's a Hellcat. Oh no, it isn't. It's just part of the short Sandringham. And the good thing about the short Sandringham is you can go on board. So let's take a look. Let's go. This thing is absolutely absolutely huge, although it is quite cramped inside. Obviously it's an aircraft, but come on in. Check out the toilet. Now this is going to be a real challenge for you. You can't actually see. Actually, Eddie, show yourself to the camera.
No, I can't do that.
Eddie's about 6'9", and he's having a real problem wandering around inside this thing. But come with us and we'll have a look. And you know, it looks like the interior of an old 1960s train carriage. This thing, believe it or not, this thing, even though it's a civilian airliner, it still has a bomb bay. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to find it. There's the freight and baggage hold. They've even got some old pusser's suitcases stowed in the back there. Let's go to the upper deck. There's more seating up here, and this is the steward's galley. Doesn't look like they're going to let us in the cockpit though. Although, I don't know what sort of a view you're going to be able to get of it, but there's a window there, and you can just stick the camera, check through the monitor and see what you can see of the cockpit.
Not a great deal.
Not a great deal. Oh, well, a lot to do. Not quite sure what this guy's doing here. I think he might be a little bit lost. However, there is a clue. He's obviously American because he's got a pocket for his sunglasses. And there it is. That's the baby that made the Spitfire C, the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. These things were legendary engines. I mean, the P-51 Mustang ran on one of these engines. The Spitfire ran on one of these engines. The Avro Lancaster ran on 4 of these engines. Over here, look at the size of that. That's the Napier Sabre. That is the engine that powered the Hawker Typhoon and the Hawker Tempest. Now if we take it back a few years, the Haviland Gypsy Major, tiny little engine there. That powered a whole bunch of light biplane aircraft, including the Gypsy Major, one of which is in the museum, and we'll show you later. Back there, the Gypsy Major, we just saw the engine from that. Look at the size of that engine. And look at the size of that aircraft, the fact that it's carrying 2 people. Who puts their lives in the hands of something like that? And it is quite literally just a wooden frame with a canvas covering. If you come closer, we'll have a look. That's exactly what it is. Come on, look at it. It's just varnished canvas. You do not want to be getting shot at when you're flying one of these. Well, you don't want to be getting shot at the best of times, but particularly not when you're flying one of these. The Solent Sky Aviation Museum was originally the R.J. Mitchell Memorial Museum. R.J. Mitchell obviously being the genius who designed the Supermarine Spitfire, amongst other aircraft. And this is really what put his name on the map. He won the Schneider Trophy with his Supermarine S6 seaplane. And that is the actual Schneider Trophy. And this is the Supermarine S6 that won the Schneider Trophy in 1929. Look, you can touch it and everything. Of course, this is what I actually came to the museum for. That is a Mark 24 Spitfire. This was the last model of Spitfire produced. 420mm Hispano cannon, 5-bladed propeller. This thing is big. It actually has a Rolls-Royce Griffin engine rather than the Merlin engine. But she is beautiful. Get a load of that. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, hold me back, Eddie. Hold me back. My motor's running. Now that is one sexy aircraft. If this aircraft was a woman, I'd tap it. You can actually have a look at the cockpit here, although draw your attention to these massive blisters in the wing. They were actually for the magazine drums on the 20mm Hispano cannons that you see sticking out the front there. But over here, Spitfire cockpit. Now, what a lot of people aren't aware of is that this area between Southampton, Portsmouth, Gosport is of massive significance to aviation history because of the number of aircraft manufacturers that were based and operated here in the critical periods during aircraft development between the beginning of the 20th century and the Second World War. You had companies like Avro, who built the Lancaster bomb, Cunliffe Own Limited, Foster Wilkner Aircraft Company, Campbell Riddle Luke & Co, May Harden and May, the Gosport Aircraft Company, Sopwith Aviation Company, the Sopwith Camel, just who hasn't heard of Sopwith? Moonbeams Limited, dozens and dozens of different manufacturers, and of course, let's not forget the Supermarine factory that actually built the Spitfire. So, the problem that the museum is having at the moment is that, well, it's a sort of good news, bad news situation for the museum. The good news is that up until the beginning of last year, they only had their lease extended 1 year at a time. But just as the previous Southampton City Council moved out, they managed to secure a 125-year lease for the museum. So the lease on the museum is going to outlive any of us. The problem is that at the same time, they had all their funding cut. So they no longer have a grant, and there is no money coming in other than people coming in the door, paying the entrance fee, perhaps making a donation, and having a look around this fantastic museum. So they are literally relying on the kindness of strangers. They are now in a position where they are able to apply for grants because they've got a lease that lasts longer than a year, but it's still very much a hand-to-mouth situation. And of course, they also have to pay for things like all of their own street signs. So if you see any of those brown background heritage style street signs that point to various museums, this place has to pay for its own, so it's difficult to find the place. Now they've got their own website, and obviously you can check the video description of this video and see how you can donate. The place is also a registered charity, but you know, aircraft like this, surely they deserve a place to live. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed the visit to the museum. Apologies for the poor sound quality. It's the first time we've actually taken the video camera out and had a go at doing this sort of thing. And we're still getting used to how it all works. I certainly had a great time, and I thoroughly encourage anybody who is in the Hampshire area around Southampton to get yourself down to the museum. It's just outside Ocean Village. Full directions and details about the museum in the video description. It is a registered charity. Go ahead and donate if you want to. If you don't, fine. But the option is definitely there. Remember that these places are very much reliant on the kindness of strangers, on visitors, for their livelihood. Coming up, I'm going to be visiting the Imperial War Museum at Duxford for their Spring Air Day on the 26th of May. I'm taking the video camera along. Going to get some footage of that. I hope to show you all. Of course, there's Tank Fest at the Bovington Museum on the 30th of June. I'll be there for that. And a whole bunch of other different museum visits planned to do, like this for your entertainment and education. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, folks, watch your six, and I'll catch you next time.